Usually people don't want to be in a relationship because they don't want to be with that person anymore. The question that the party asks that is being broken up with is usually, why? But they don't mean it, because 9 times out of 10, there's only one answer: because I don't want to be with you anymore. Obviously, on the other end, that's hard for you to understand, because human beings are naturally kind of narcissistic. And so somebody breaks up with me and I love them and they don't love me. It's like, I don't understand. But I do understand, because there are people who have loved me who I didn't love in the same way. So I get that, right? So we have all of these complicated interactions that actually require a lot of clarity about what my rights are. And when I do that, it's sort of like cleaning my room. You know, basically, people that can't handle boundaries are going to leave your life relatively quickly. And you're going to attract people that have good boundaries. And so your whole life system changes real quickly when you begin to do that. It's hard work and it's uncomfortable. I usually start, back when people smoked before they vaped, I used to start with people with cigarettes, because there's a whole game of cigarettes in rehab. Everybody smokes. And a lot of people don't have any money. And so whoever got the cigarettes, it's like, you know, if it's not Newports, they'll come up to you and be like, oh man, can I bum a cigarette? You know, and it's like, eventually you're like, oh my God, I'm giving away all my cigarettes. You know, what do I do? So you start making excuses. You know, so people come down and say, you know, can I get a cigarette? And you say, oh, this is my last one. You know, that's the common response on the street and in rehab. If you don't want to give it, you don't want to just say no, right? You say, oh, it's my last one. Or I left the box in my room. You know, I'm not going to go up to get it, right? And one of the things that I have people practice with cigarettes and things like this, there are plenty of examples, is say no without qualification. And if they keep harassing you about it, ask them if you have the right to say no. That's a really important tool if you want to learn how to be a little more authentic and assertive. I mean, all we're talking about is being honest with people. If somebody wants something from you and you don't want to give it to them, and you can't justify giving it to them except for that you feel bad, that's not a good reason to give somebody something most of the time, you know, unless it's saving their life or they're hungry or something like this. So basically, it's training people how to be authentic. I actually don't want to do this. I don't want to hang out with you. And training people how to say that in an appropriate but direct way. No, I'm not going to give you a cigarette. Why? Is it your last one? No, actually, it's not my last one. So why aren't you giving me a cigarette? Well, hang on. Before we go down this road of why I'm not giving you a cigarette, can we agree that I have the right to say no to you about it? If they say yes, then that's the end of the conversation. You say, oh, great. Then we don't need to discuss this other thing, because you just get that I have the right to say no. If they say no, my direction would be just walk away. If somebody doesn't think you have the right to say no in a relationship, I would just walk away. That was like the old Seinfeld episode where George Costanza tries to break up with his girlfriend at the time, and she says no. You know, it was great comedy, you know. So it's a huge part of, obviously, life, but it's also a great part of recovery. And what it does when you start drawing those boundaries and being respectfully assertive in your life, a little territorial about how much of yourself you're going to give, you suddenly start to get clear about who you are when you stop and start. Then you begin to have a sense of self. Then you begin to have a moral core. And you begin to feel good about yourself. And you attract people around, kind of people you want to hang out with, that also know how to say yes and no in appropriate ways. Next thing you know, you got a different life.